I can't speak. So as far as I understood, it's about whenever there is something you don't understand in English or whatever, like technically, please interrupt. You can ask questions whenever you want. There will be also the possibility afterwards for questions after the presentation, so it's no problem. But whenever you have the feeling there's something you wanted to know or you don't understand or whatever, please ask. Again, I just wanted to introduce me to you briefly. My name is Philipp Vischer. I'm in charge for mechanical accessories at Arri. It's called PCA, as you can see here, Pro Camera Accessories, PCA. And these accessories are kind of divided. PCA is divided into two sections. One is mechanical accessories, and the other one are electronic control system, ECS. This is the part where Hendrik is in charge for, and the presentation will be later on after mine. So I'm talking only about mechanical stuff. We have three different sections within the mechanical accessories. The first section are support systems, the second follow focus, mechanical follow focus, and the third one are mat boxes. So starting with support systems, it's all around a camera. It could be an Arri camera, but it could be any other camera as well. So we are offering accessories especially for Arri cameras, but also for third-party cameras, as I can mention later on. I'll show you some pictures as well. Just some examples. You all know a standard BP8, for example. So everybody knows that that is the standard in the industry. But what we made as well, for example, is a small version which is called BPS2. You see it here on top left. And this is a product which is not very known in the market, but it could be very helpful. So whenever you want to have the possibility to slide your camera on a balancing plate, but you don't need the 90mm rod support, you can use this one by using the 50mm lightweight support, which is mostly kind of implemented in the camera or accessible via an adapter plate we offer for other cameras as well. So this is a very lightweight and cheap solution, because if you compare that price-wise to the BP8, it's less expensive and it's much more lightweight. And whenever I talk about the product, I hope I remember, I just pass it around that you can also have it in your hand and see what it is about. And if you don't need it anymore on the back, you have to find a way to kind of return it to the front. So that's one example about what we're doing. So we have also three different kinds of bottom plates now. The standard one, which is the 300mm, you all know, but we're offering as well the longer ones now. We have a 450 here, and we have a 600. No, that's not right. It's also a 450, but we have a 600 as well. So we have three different lengths. Beside that, there are also like a lot of kind of small bits and pieces we are offering, where sometimes it's really, really difficult to bring the information out to you that you are aware that these accessories are existing. So that's kind of one example I always carry with me. This is called RMB2, Rod Mounting Bracket. And what you can do, you see here, this is the standard interface we have built in all our cameras and accessories. It's a 3/8 inch with the two pins. And what you can do is you just mount it wherever you have this interface. And what it offers is a single rod support. So you can put it on top for a motor using from top, and you have the possibility to use it with 15 or with 19. So this is, again, just one example of all the mechanical accessories we are offering. Then we have, as you can see here, we call them bridge supports. You can put them on 15 lightweight, and you have integrated Arri rosettes. So you can put hand grips on it, and you can slide it on the rods back and to the front or to the back. And we have the same version, a bigger version, where you have the possibility to put it on 19 studio rods, on 15 studio rods, or on 15 lightweight. So this is all implemented in one bridge plate and one bridge support. Beside that, as I told you about, there are accessories for a lot of other cameras. So you can see here we are equipping Sony FS7 cameras. This is a Panasonic Vericam camera, a very well-balanced F55 here. And you see here, for example, the new accessories for the C300 Mark II, which we are showing here. So in general, we always try to adapt these cameras into the kind of Arri standard so that the center of the lens is kind of matched to the rods, that you don't have a problem using mat boxes with these cameras. You can use 15 lightweight support. You can always adapt to a CINE style BP8, or what we offer as well for these kind of cameras are now broadcast plates. So this is an example. This is the broadcast plate for the Canon C300 Mark II. And what you can do, you can also slide it back and forth. Maybe you know this system a little bit from the Amira, where you can also slide it back and forth. With the Amira, it was kind of very difficult to make it possible that the rods are staying with the camera when you slide it. So with the Amira, you sometimes have the problem that if you slide the camera, you have to detach the accessories from the rods and attach them, reattach them again. Here we made it possible that the rods are with the upper plate, so they're all moving together, so you don't have this problem anymore. And these plates, these broadcast plates, we're now offering for several cameras. So we will have one for the new red DSM-C2 cameras. We have one for the Canon, and we are offering one for the Mini as well. So in the end, the lower part is always the same, only the upper part is adapted to the right model of the camera. The other thing we are always try to offer is, especially when we're talking about third-party cameras, that we're offering more and more mounting options on the camera, a proper handle on top. We are offering viewfinder mounting brackets here that you have the possibility, and we'll be using the actual Alexa viewfinder bracket to adapt it to all kinds of viewfinders. We have the possibility now, for example, for this Canon grip to attach it not directly onto the camera, but on an Arri rosette with the same functionality. So this is just an example of what we try to do with other cameras and equip them with the well-known Arri accessories. Just briefly about the new products we just announced at NMB 216. So we are offering now a set for the Sony A7, the R2 and S2 cameras. So we have a kind of a cage, and you can use it only with the plate if you want, or you can add a left side arm or add a right side arm and a top handle. You can adapt it again to a BP8 if you want. And we have the possibility for a lens adapter support. So if you have an E-mount to PL adapter, you can support it from below so that it's really, really stable and you can use all the PL lenses. We are offering accessories now for the VariCam LT for the new model of the Panasonic camera. And here is also a good example that what we try to do is that we also implementing both standards into one plate whenever it is possible. So with this plate now, you have the possibility to adapt to the CINE style BP8 or the BPS2 I just showed you, or you can go with this wedge directly to our QRP1 or to a VCT14 from Sony and go with this quick release system. Everything okay still now? Okay. Just interrupt me. I'm just running through, but whenever there's something, just scream and interrupt me. Then what I just said, like we have accessories for the new red cameras. Here we have two different plates at the bottom because it was not really possible to integrate both worlds into one plate. So we have one which can be adapted to the CINE world, and the other one which goes more into this broadcast VCT14 world. On top, we are offering two very interesting things. One is we're offering an RS3 trigger on-off into the plate. So we just kind of connect the plate to the existing interface on top of the camera from Red. And you have one LEMO output for the LEMO adapter from Red, and you have the RS3 pin trigger on-off. The other thing we are offering is a monitor bracket, which you can put on rods from above, and you can slide it back and forth. So like this, you can choose your monitor position where you want to have it, and it's not kind of limited to the position on the Red camera itself. Second section, what I just said before, are the follow focus systems, the manual follow focus systems. And I'm not talking so much about that because I think you all know them. There's this FF3, FF4, FF5. These are the standards. Then we have a smaller one, which is the mini follow focus, the MFF2. And you can see here there is a variety of products which are kind of compatible to all these follow focus systems. You have 3 different focus knobs, a lot of focus gears, all these kinds of things. So I think this is something you all know, and I don't have to talk a lot about these products. But where I want to talk more in depth are the Arri mat boxes. And just to tell you a little bit my background, when I started a couple of years ago as the product manager for these mechanical accessories within Arri, I counted 13 different types of mat boxes in the Arri product range. And even for me, it was kind of, sometimes it was not possible to really tell the differences in between all these models. So, and at a certain point, I realized, okay, what can we do there? Where these kind of standard ones, the MB18, the MB14, the LMB5, which are the traditional mat boxes. Then there were the newer ones, the LMB15 and the MB20 and the MB28. And some people preferred the older models, the other ones preferred the newer models. And whatever there was the question, can I update one of these models? And at a certain point I decided, no, it's not possible. We better make new mat boxes and replace the older ones against new mat boxes with nice features. So that's what we did. And in the end, there will be 5 mat boxes which will be replaced, which are replacing all the 13 kind of existing ones. 4 of them are already out in the market, and I will tell you a little bit about these 4 mat boxes which are there. So first one are the lightweight mat boxes. There's the LMB25 and the LMB6. And the only difference between LMB25 and LMB6 is the filter size. LMB25 is the successor of 5 and 15. So both are not existing anymore, and LMB25 is the successor. And LMB6 is the successor of the LMB4A. The only difference is LMB6 6x6, LMB25 4x5.65. And you can see both mat boxes here, LMB25 and LMB6. They share exactly the same features. So if you know one mat box, you know completely the other mat box model as well. So you see here you have a wide-angle sunshade. The interesting thing what we added into this mat box are that the possibility that you can remove the sunshade very, very easy by loosening these 4 screws, and these are kind of standard 3 Allen key 3 screws. So this is the standard tool for all our accessories. So you can take the sunshade off, and the screws are captive, so they will not fall out. Before, with LMB5, you had these tiny little screws, and normally what happened is you took out the screw somewhere in the field, and where's the screw, and it's gone. And it came back it went out with 4 screws, and it came back with 2 screws. So that's why we wanted to make it possible that you can take it off really easily without losing these screws. You have now the possibility to use both of these clamp-on mat boxes with 2 or 3 filter stage. So here you can see the 3 filter version. You can just swap the filter stage guides. These are the 2 stage from LMB6, which on the other model will be here on the side. So it's very easy just to swap them if you just want to use 2 filters. What else? Clamp adapters. For LMB25, by the way, these are the same clamp adapters from LMB25 like used before with LMB5 and 15. So for all rentals, they don't have to buy new clamp adapters. That's something where we always take care of, that we not just kind of make a standard a little bit different, and then everybody has to kind of buy everything like new. We wanted to be aware that there's so many clamp adapters out there in the rentals that they can reuse them. So these clamp adapters from LMB 5, 15, 25, they're existing since a long time. But for the LMB 6 or I have to say for the NEB4A, there were no clamp adapters. There was one dedicated back, which was 156 millimeter, and then you had kind of reduction rings to other sizes. But you were kind of limited with the sizes of the clamp adapters. So this is something what is new now, because for LMB6 we're starting with 162 diameter, so you can put that directly on an Ingenieur Optimo 24-90, and it goes down up to 95 millimeter. So you may say, like, 95 millimeter, I would never put a 6x6 clip-on mat box onto an Ultra Prime, for example. Yes, that's right. And the reason why we made this 95 millimeter clamp adapter for the NMB6 is my background is also I was a focus puller years ago, but I made a lot of second unit shots. And when I came to the set, normally what happens is they go like, okay, this is your camera, this is your lens, this is your mat box, and go there and shoot something, or make kind of, yeah, like wider shots or whatever. And what happens then in between, so you start with the zoom normally, the primes are with the first unit, and sometimes in between there's somebody screaming, we need the zoom. Here, now you have the primes. And to be flexible, and then you kind of, you still have the 6x6 clip-on mat box, and what is missing is then the clamp adapter for the primes. So it's just the idea, whatever happens, you have the possibility to react really in a short time. Even if it's not the right way or the normal way to do it, if you have to do it, you find a solution. So that's why that's also the 95 clamp adapter there for the back. Next feature, there is a safety hook here on the back, on the right corner. The reason for that is that you can attach the mat box with a safety onto your camera body. You know, with vibrations, you never know exactly what happens with the clip-on mat box. So if you're on a crane, for example, and you pan down, you don't want to have the mat box falling on your actor. So when the mat box is really falling down, it can be kind of safe to the camera, so this cannot happen, really. So that's the idea where we kind of integrated that same feature in the LMB6. Accessory mount on top. You can see here, there's an accessory mount you can put in the center or also off center, and you can attach a UDM or a CINE tape or whatever you want. It's the same interface, 3/8, with the pins, where the standard interface we have with all our accessories. And then there is something really interesting, and this is maybe also to explain to you a little bit how we develop products. It's not about that I am or Hendrik are kind of the genius guys sitting in the office and thinking about, oh, what can be done with the accessories. It's the other way around. We want to talk to you guys about what is needed. Or we're traveling worldwide and see how you work. We make set visits, and we're just watching what's going on, and we're asking. So whenever I come to a set, I'm asking the camera crew, okay, please tell me what you don't like. Don't tell me what you like, because if you say like, oh, everything is fine, what should I do? I can't improve any product. And I know there is always improvement possible. And the interesting thing is, most of the time they say like, no, everything's fine. I have nothing in mind, everything is good. And normally what I do is, one way is to ask them, can you show me your bag, your own private assistant bag? And when I open it, I find a lot of small things and tools what they done for their own purpose, just kind of workarounds. And I say like, oh, what is this? And then they explain, yeah, when I have to use this one with that one, then somebody made it for me. And I say like, oh, would that be nice to integrate into a next product? And they're like, yes, that would be great. And I say like, okay, that's what I need. That's exactly what I need, this information. So the next piece I want to tell you is something where I realized when I came to the set, I saw all the clip-on mat boxes with tape underneath. And I thought like, what's the reason for that? And I said like, yeah, there's always the risk that the filters can fall out. And I said like, okay, but this is not a proper Arri solution. So that's why we introduced the tray catcher. So now you have the possibility with 2-stage or with 3-stage just to have a lock here and nothing can fall out anymore. So you don't need any tape anymore. So that's kind of the small bits and pieces, but this is something which we can only find out with your help. And again, this tray catcher, this accessory mount are exactly the same parts used in the LMB6 or in the LMB25. So there's no difference also in parts. You can just use the same parts with both mat boxes. We're offering mat sets for both mat boxes, for both clip-on mat boxes. You can see them here. And we are offering now not only mats with spherical openings, but also mats with anamorphic openings. And you can see here, we now, in the past, there were always the mats where it says like for 35 millimeter or for 50 or for 85 till whatever. But this is not longer possible. With all the different sensor sizes, you can't really, it doesn't say anything anymore. So that's why we decided we just rename them, and this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And when you do your prepping, then you just decide, okay, this lens goes with mat number 2, and like this you know exactly which mat you can use. So again, I just passed that around that you can have a closer look. And top flags, with LMB25, that's nothing new because you can reuse the top flag from 5 and 15, the carbon fiber top flag. But for LMB4A, it was never existing. So now you also have the possibility to use a top flag on a 6x6 clip-on mat box. And then there is something which is also interesting. It's just a small piece, but it can be really useful. This is called the anti-reflection frame. And the idea is this takes the space of a 2-filter stage. So instead of 2 filters, you use that one. And if you put a filter inside there, it has a dedicated angle. And the angle is kind of that it kind of reflects down. It's like this, so you can see it here that you have the possibility to use it. It's on the next slide. You can use it with 1 filter, and it's 4 degrees with the smaller one, with the 4x5.65, or with 2 filters with 1.7 degrees. And the reason for that is if you have problems with reflections with filters, normally what you do with a clip-on mat box, you take 1 filter out, you angle the other one. It's kind of a limitation. You can't really angle the mat box. So that's why we made this filter frame. And the interesting stuff is 2 filter stage, but still you can still use 2 filters with it. 1 with a bigger angle and 2 with a little bit smaller angle. So this is just an add-on for your clip-on mat box. You can have with you whenever you have a problem with reflections. You can use the anti-reflection frame, and you're not losing any filter option with your clip-on mat box. Same is existing for 6x6. So this was about the clip-on lightweight mat boxes. Now the next 2 models are coming. I told you before, 5 new ones will be there. You already heard about 2, the clip-ons, and now there will be, I tell you more about the studio mat boxes, the 2 versions. Again, if you know one of these 2 mat boxes, the features are exactly the same with the other mat box. So SMB1 and SMB2. SMB stands for studio mat box, because we had like up to MB29. I didn't want to go with an MB30 or an MB35 or whatever. I just kind of wanted to restart, and that everybody's aware is a new platform of mat boxes. So they are called now SMB. SMB1 is the 6x6 version, and SMB2 is the 4x5.65 version. And in the end, it's kind of, if you know MB14, it kind of shares the same philosophy that you're using it for bigger wide angles, bigger wide angle prime and zoom lenses, and the SMB2 is kind of the MB18 for the smaller zooms and the smaller, or most of the prime lenses. And SMB1 is compatible with all the existing MB14 filter frames. It is available in 19 and 50 millimeter studio. SMB2 is compatible with all MB18 filter frames, And it has not only 90mm studio and 50mm studio, but also the possibility to use it on 50mm lightweight. But what is the difference in these studio mat boxes? Why I'm telling you that this is kind of a new platform of mat boxes. It's not about an MB14 just painted in black and say like, oh, now we have a new mat box. We just added some features. So I think one of the most interesting features is the possibility to tilt the whole mat box assembly. So you can see here, this is kind of the 0 position, and you can tilt down the mat box up to 20 degrees. You can tilt it up to 10 degrees. So what is the reason why we're doing that? As before with the anti-reflection frames, we had the feedback from sets that more and more there are problems with reflections. And then when we are visiting sets, I always seen that you take out filters, you angle one filter, or whatever is done with the mat box, that you avoid these reflections. And what happened, sometimes you had to reshoot because there were reflections. That's what we heard also from bigger productions. Or you had kind of repositioned the camera to a different angle, so the cameraman, the DOP, couldn't shoot like he wanted to, because he was kind of limited with these reflections. So we thought about this, there should be a solution for that. And this is the integrated tilt module. And it's very, very easy accessible. So this is just like, you can use it with this whip, but you can also use it by hand. So you don't have to have this. The reason why we, and normally I would say like everything between 0 degrees and 10 degrees is enough. But it was technically possible to go down up to 20 degrees, so we said like, okay, why not, why limiting it? But I think like normally within like 3 to 8 degrees, it should be fine. There should be no problem to go like further, but if needed, it's possible. You can use this whip, which is the same one used for the geared filter trays. So this is anyway in your box. So we just put in the same interface into the tilt module. If you want to operate it from behind the camera, then you can just do that. So this is one of the biggest features of the new Studio Matbox line. What is also interesting is what you can do is you can also swap the tilt module against an extension module. The extension module, the difference between a tilt module is, yeah, like I said before, you can tilt the matbox up and down. And the extension module is the one you know from the MB14 that it can just extend to the front, which is built in here in the tilt module as well. But the tilt is not built into the extension module. The reason why we're offering this as well is, and you can feel it, the tilt module is much heavier than the standard extension module. And you can see here, it's just by loosening 2 screws, take out the arm, and you can swap it against the other one. So I give it to you, and then you can also judge the difference. And the extension module would be something you have in your box. And if weight is an issue, or size is an issue, you can really swap the modules very, very easily. The other interesting new feature are stackable filter stages. So normally with an MB14 or an MB18, you have kind of these dedicated filter stages. You have a 2-stage, you have a 3-stage, you have a 4-stage. So it could be that you are carrying 3 filter stages with you, which can't be changed. So what we did now is we have the possibility, we're only offering modules. So there's one 2-stage module, and there is a single-stage module, and you can add as many as you want. So if you have 2 stages and 1 single stage, you can have all options between 1 stage up to 5 stages. So this is very easily to kind of just do it by yourself, and whenever you have the problem, okay, now it's vignetting because you have a wider angle, you just take one filter stage out and reuse it. What you can do as well is you can even go with the backplate directly onto your matbox without using any filter stage. If you have a wider angle and you don't need any filters, you can do that as well, because it shares the same interface here in the back. It's always the same interface. So this is also something which is new and could be also beneficial for you, because you don't have to carry so many weight with you, because it's kind of is modular now. What we integrated as well, again, is the idea of the tray catcher. So you can see here at the bottom that you can have individual tray catchers here, that the filters can't fall out. And you can slide them in or just have them on the normal position. If you want to use grads, you can still do that. So this is something where you have to get used to how to kind of connect these filter stages together. So I normally do it that I put them here on top, and you have to kind of get a feeling for it. Where is the nice spot where they kind of match, and then they just click together. But this is something you have to get used to it. The third feature, which you can also see here, is the possibility to convert your standard spherical matte box into an anamorphic version. Both here are SMB2s, and they look very different because the sunshade is different. Here you have an anamorphic sunshade, and here you have the spherical sunshade on the other side. Again, it shares the same system here with these Allen key 3 screws, which you can just take off. You can take off the sunshade, the screws are captive, and you can just replace this sunshade against an anamorphic one, but it's exactly the same system in the back. What you do as well is you reposition the top and the bottom flag holders. There are two positions here on the matte box, a lower one and an upper one. And the upper one is for spherical, and the lower one is for the anamorphical sunshade, because then you can use the same top flag for spherical and for anamorphic shooting. Side flags are dedicated to the sunshade, because the height is different. So you have one for spherical and one for anamorphic. And then what you have, if you go for the anamorphic conversion set, you will get a sunshade, you will get the dedicated side flags, and a dedicated matte set which fits to the anamorphic sunshade, as you can see here. These are the mattes which we also changed in a way. If you compare them now to MB14 or MB18, the mattes were always kind of folded around on the sunshade. And what happened quite often was that if you kind of hit the matte box here, they were kind of falling down, and they were damaged, and also in your assistant bag or in the case, it took a lot of space because they were so thick. So these are now very, very thin, and you just click them into the front of the matte box. Very fast and easy, and very stable. Again, they are with the numbers, and what we did as well is we have now 1 to 5. But we have also a matte which is called number 0, which looks like this. And this is just a protection. Whenever you have a break in between, when there is dust in the air, when the art department comes and it goes like shh, or makeup department in front of your camera, you can just put that in, and then your lens is protected. And that's what we have for all these different matte sets. We have, for the spherical hood, we have 2 different matte sets. On the next slide you can see it a little bit better. We have all in all 3 different matte sets. One you have already seen is dedicated to the anamorphic sunshade, and the other 2 are for the spherical sunshade. One is just spherical openings for the spherical sunshade, and the other one is anamorphic openings for the spherical sunshade. Because some people told me, I prefer shooting anamorphic with a spherical hood, but I would like to have the mattes with the anamorphic openings for the spherical hood. So that's why we have 3 different matte sets for the matte box. Flags. That's also something we wanted to improve. Maybe you remember when you're shooting with an MB14 or an MB18, or I can show you maybe better here. So what normally happens, or what quite often happens, is you have a zoom lens and you have a teleshot, and then the DOP operator is kind of zooming out and want to shoot again and says like, oh, it's vignetting, come on, put up the top flag. And then it goes, it takes such a long time with the MB14 and the MB18. So we thought like, why not implementing a fast adjuster? So now you can just push here on top and adjust it really fast from low to the high position or whatever in between, and you still have the fine adjustment built in the back. So that's something we wanted to improve as well. At the same time, on the top flag, you can see it here. You just push that, and you can put it wherever you want, and you have the fine adjustment here in the back. And you can also fold it in if you don't need it. The other thing what we wanted to improve is the way the flaps are being used. Before you had this locking system here on the top flag, and when it was not really properly opened and you folded it in, it was kind of bent, and there was always an issue with it. And also in between, the flaps were always kind of this. So when you are on a car mount, for example, you always had to kind of tape it to somewhere. So what we're doing now, we have a friction-driven system. So you just put the friction in here, and it stays wherever you want to have it, and you can fold it back in and out. So this is also an improvement against the versions before. The same mechanism, the quick adjustment, is also built into the side flags as well. So this is all shares the same features with all the flags, SMB1 and SMB2. Then we have the possibility to mount a UDM or CINE tape like I showed you before with the clip-on mat boxes, but a more advanced version. What you can do is you mount it on top here, and you can slide it from left to right. So you can you can also put a small LED light on top of it, whatever you want to have. You can just use this mounting accessory, this accessory point on top, which is sliding. Beside that, we have other mounting accessory points. We have one built in here on the left side. There you have the typical interface from Arri, the 3/8 inch with a 2-pin. You can put a Noga arm, for example, with a monitor or a display, whatever you need. And we have one as well here on top on the arm on the right side. So on both sides, you have the possibility to mount accessories onto your mat box. When tilting the mat box and when offering the possibility to tilt the mat box up to 20 degrees, we thought, okay, now we have to find a solution that you can still have a ring, a donut on back of it. So what we're delivering with our studio mat box is a tilting which looks very extreme, because this is the one if you really want to go up to 20 degrees. But normally you don't need that, so we decided that you can just split it into two parts and only use half of it for the smaller angles. So you can just go with this one and put it here in the back and have it for kind of maybe angles up to 10 degrees. But the back of the interface here in SMB2 is exactly the same as MB18, and the one from SMB1, from the bigger one, exactly the same as MB14. So all the existing donuts in the industry, like from Arri, are compatible with these mat boxes. So if you're using the standard ring, for example, this is one with a diameter of 114 in the back. So if you use this one and you want to tilt the mat box, it can work maybe with kind of 2 degrees or 3 degrees. You don't have to use this all the time. This is just something when you're limited with your existing ring, then you have this in your box and you can just use it. So, but you can always go with the standard rings you have. Again, something which is an option just to add to the Studio Mat boxes is the one which is called triple filter frame. We found out that even with tilting the mat box, sometimes you can't get rid of all reflections you have. Because if the reflections are within the mat box, within the filters, because filters are not 100% parallel, then most of the times it doesn't help to tilt the mat box, because the reflections will always stay in the mat box. That's why we made this triple filter frame. And the idea about that one, again, it takes the space of a two-stage filter, or it goes into a two-filter stage, but you can use up to 3 filters in this one filter frame. You kind of sandwich them together. So you put really glass on glass, and then you can put 1, 2, or 3, and like this they are completely in parallel, and you can avoid these reflections. So this is a very nice option, because you can also use 3 filters in a 2-filter stage with this filter frame. And this is called triple filter frame. It looks pretty similar to the anti-reflection frame, but the difference is here sandwiching filters, and with the anti-reflection one is angling the filters in the mat box. And again, they are existing for 4 by 5.65 and 6 by 6. And another accessory we have, and this in the end is kind of, in the beginning for me it was kind of the same idea as I told you before with the clamp adapters for the LMB6 down to 95. Same thing, second unit, and you kind of shifting gear back and forth, and in the end you are kind of, you have your 4 by 5.65 filters, but you have a 6 by 6 mat box. So that's why we made an adapter, and this is an adapter which goes onto the SMB1, the 6 by 6 mat box, and adapts filter stages from the SMB2 being used on the SMB1. So now you can use filter stages 4 by 5.65 on a 6 by 6 mat box. So you can go, I don't have an SMB1 here, I only have SMB2s, so you can go, you can start with a 6 by 6 filter stage, adding the adapter and add 4 by 5.6 filter stages. So you can combine both filter sizes, or you go directly without any filter stage to the SMB1 and then put the 4 by 5.65 filter stages onto the SMB1. So this is possible via this adapter. There are 2 other options using 4 by 5.65 filters with a 6 by 6 mat box. One is a dedicated 4 by 5.65 filter frame for 6 by 6 mat boxes. So this is also available, which was not available before. You can just use it if you want to use 4 by 5.65 filters.